Ain't no free will, it's all predestinated. From every death to every child brought forth through copulation. From the spouse that you choose to your current occupation, you either receive mercy or your hour's indignation. I can recollect on times that I could have been dead, caught lacking, no strap. I had.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and get it started. Uh, First off, I just want to say all praise to the Most High. And this was a very good topic Brother Aaron actually came up with. And I did some research on some numbers, and the numbers are very staggering, and it basically puts this topic into perspective. Um, the first thing I'm gonna cover is blacks being killed by the police. So the statistics for that, the population, we are 12.6% of the population of all people in America. White people are 59.3%. Hispanic or Latino are 18.9%. Um, so with these numbers being the way that they are, it's kind of crazy when you look at the numbers of people actually killed. So let me pull up this graph. Okay, in 2017, 458 white people were killed by police. 222 black people were killed by police. 180 Hispanic. This is 2017. 2018, 459 white people were killed. 228 black people. 167 Hispanic. 2019, 424 white people. 251 black people. 168 Hispanic. 2020, 459 white people, 243 black people, 171 Hispanic, 200, 2021, 302 white people, 177 black people, 78 Hispanic. 2022, we have numbers for that, but we know we're still in 2022. 127 white people, 71 black people, 28 Hispanic people. Blacks get killed by the police at more than twice the rate as whites. And our population is like nowhere near the number of white people that are actually in America. Same thing with the Latino. Um, there's also a graph that shows that we're killed, black people are killed, 41, 41 black people are killed per million, 29 Hispanics per million, 16 white people per million. So, it's a big dramatic difference in the numbers. And this source, if anybody wants to go and look it up, is Statista. And
Hey,
I want
Salakia, heard
Put
you
it, put
able
it, put
to
it,
post it to the top.
put it. Yeah, yeah. I was about to say, send it in the messages, and then Aaron can pin it to the top because I don't know exactly how to do that.
Nah, you gotta mob me up though. I can't do it as of right now.
okay, give me a second.
I already modded them.
You did kind. Let me get this page, and I'm gonna put it in the comments. Share. All right. So while I'm putting this in the chat, can somebody pull Deuteronomy um 28th chapter, 49th and the 50th verse?
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49, and it reads: "The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation."
28th chapter, 49th and the 50th verse.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49, and it reads: The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
Con. And with these statistics that I just brought out, it also states that over 95% of these people, black people killed, are males between the age of 20 and 40. So, you see right there, like, there's a reason that this is happening. It's not just some fly by night coincidence. It's a reason that these things are happening. Um, so I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we're gonna read verse 41 through 46.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So we see right here, we were going to be able to identify who the Israelites were because of the conditions that they would be in. So I went to these other sources, EGI.org, and it talks about police officers fatally shooting unarmed black men. It says police officers have fatally shot at least 135 unarmed black men and women nationwide since 2015. This article, it was released in January January the 26th of 2021. It says at least 75% of the officers were white, and nearly 60% of the shootings occurred in the South. At least six of the officers who shot and killed unarmed black people were hired as police officers despite serious red flags in their backgrounds, like drug use, domestic violence, and being fired from another police department. At least 15 of the officers who killed unarmed black people had already been involved in more than one shooting prior to the incident. Authorities failed to charge officers in more than 80 cases. Only 13 were charged with murder, and of those, only 2 were found guilty. Former U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Ronald C. Mashing Jr., states that it will continue to be challenging to hold officers accountable in court until there are more people of color in the justice system. When I read that, it stuck out to me, and it brought a verse to my memory. If somebody could get Proverbs 29 and 2.
If one of you brothers can read that for me.
Can I pull it? I
Uh,
pull it. Oh,
I got
you
it.
got. Go ahead. You got it.
Uh, Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
So we seen this U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. He said that it will continue to be challenging to hold officers accountable in court until there are more people of color in the justice system. He was on to something, but I mean, the system that we need to be here to get the justice that we need is the kingdom to come. And we know through scripture, when the kingdom comes, that the Most High will send His Son to be the king over these nations, over this nation, and over the Israelites, and we'll be also the 144,000 will also be ruling as king and priest. Um, so basically, let me go to the next section I got. Blacks were victims in 2005 of 7,999 homicides, and 93% were killed by other black people. Somebody get Deuteronomy 28, chapter 54 verse.
Con, I got you. This Deuteronomy 28 and 54. It says, "So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward his wife, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave."
Con. So when looking at the details of black on black crime, it shows fulfillment of that scripture. Also, when we look at government assistance numbers, um, for black people, this is numbers from 1992 for government assistance. Black people were 41% of black people income, over 50% of their income was from government assistance. Hispanic, it was 33.3% of Hispanics and 11% of white people. And this source is U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources. If somebody can get Deuteronomy 28 chapter 47 and the 48 verse.
Con, I got you. Deuteronomy 28:47. It says, "And because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee."
Gone. And we see from these statistics, he's pretty much done what was prophesied, destroyed us. We got our young black males killing each other every day. We see it. Without the numbers, we know it's dramatically unproportionate. And us also leaning on them for government assistance shows a lot too, that we're going to them for one of all things. um I guess I'll let someone add on to this, one of the brothers.
I had a. Can somebody give me Psalms chapter 30, 37, verse 32?
God, I got you. Psalm chapter 37 verse 32, it reads, "The wicked watches the righteous and seeketh to slay him."
Definitely. And so this right here is just it's just something that they naturally do just because they're wicked. And so they can't even really help but to do that, but to watch out because the scriptures call us the righteous. Even the wicked of us as a collective group, Israel is referred to as the righteous. And so now let's go to Zechariah chapter 11, and we'll start at verse 4 and read 4 through 5.
Zechariah chapter 4.
Chapter 11, verse 4 through 5.
Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 4. Thus says the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Definitely. And so they possess us and they slay us and then they hold themselves not guilty. Is because they're given the authority to. They have the rulership over us. We're subjected to them. So whenever they go and they kill us in the streets that they own, then they go and they take us to the courts that they own and then say that they didn't do it. They go and they blame us. They say, hey, he moved a little too fast. And that's one of the downfalls about being in this captivity and being under these curses is this you can't do anything but depend on the Lord because every time that we try to rise up as people, We saw what they did with the leaders.
Con.
Uh,
Definitely. Anybody got anything they want to add to it?
Con, yeah, I can make a quick point. Just based off the brother Ben's last statement he made. Talking about how like any time we try to we try to get something done. Our leaders are taken out. If somebody could, if somebody grab Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
Deuteronomy. Oh, you got it.
Go ahead. It's like,
Go ahead. Uh,
and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Con. So when you read in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, 15 all the way down, as the brother Hurt went into, there's a series of curses that we're going to go through and that's going to follow us because of our disobedience to the commandments, as a nation. And one of those curses was going to be that we would be sold to our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, which would be servants, right? And nobody would redeem us, or that word will translate to buy, but really it's talking about us being redeemed. And so when you look at what it means to redeem somebody, that's basically buying them out, outright. Whether like in this particular situation, it would be from us being captors. So anybody that's tried to really free us, so to speak, it's all come to naught because the scriptures say that no man will buy us, and it's going to take divine intervention, from the Most High Himself, through His arm, by the hand of Yahweh Shai. But I yield back to the brothers. Just wanted to make that quick point.
Uh, well, I got a scripture. I'm gonna read. It's gonna be Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, and I'm gonna start at the first verse. And it shall come to pass when all things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out from the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. So we see, if we do his commandments as a collective, as a nation of people, these curses will be reversed, and they'll be reversed upon the enemy that's doing these things to us.
Con.
So I want to bring out real quick is if not, simply what's going on is something that's been going on and it's something that will continue going on. And every time that we see a so-called black or brown man, woman, or child that's unjustly killed by the police or just by straight across racism, as we saw in the grocery store, um, we they will continue to say this. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 7. Can somebody grab that for me? Jeremiah 57.
I got you. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers.
Definitely. And so that's what they say. Hey, you don't think that up in the hierarchies they know who we are? And they're possibly like, hey, the Most High ain't going to do nothing to us for doing this to them because look at what they're doing. They're sinning against the Lord. They're not walking in the covenant. They're not keeping his ways. They're following after our custom. So there's nothing wrong with us. This is a part of their judgment. Uh,
Con, and that's a beautiful point that the brother Ben just made. And so, with that being said, I want to pose a question to the panel, because like the brother Hurt said earlier, I came to the table with this topic because I had recently had a conversation, um, with an individual, and it was said something along the lines was well, he said, I'm not oppressed. I keep the commandments of God. Them people that are oppressed, they breaking the commandments. That's on them. And it was a bit befuddling because and I like to hear you guys' thoughts on it, but it was a bit befuddling because especially when we read in the scriptures about a lot of our forefathers that was under oppression by the various nations that had us captive. Some of them brothers was righteous. Like when you read, I think it's in the book of Ezekiel, the 14th chapter. I might be off, but like he mentions, even the righteousness of Job and Daniel. I think it was Noah, Job, and Daniel couldn't save them in their day. And when you understand, what was happening in Daniel's time, you read in Daniel the ninth chapter, he said that the curse was poured upon his people, and that they're under the curse, which was pronounced as an oath in the book in the law of Moses, roughly paraphrasing, right? You read that in the book of Daniel the ninth chapter. And so one of the main points is that Daniel, even though he was righteous, and he might have been well off and he was cool, he doesn't separate himself from his people, from the oppression that his people are going through. So like what would you brothers like? What's y'all's thoughts on that? Because it's a lot of our people that'll say, "Well, I'm not oppressed. I'm doing well." Like what do y'all brothers say to that?
all right. And so the first thing I would say, I'm pretty sure y'all brothers remember, and heard me say this before. It's that, with the analogy with a dog that has spent 5 years inside of a cage. If he's been in that cage for 5 years, and then you finally take him out the cage and put him on a 5 foot leash, he's gonna feel like he's totally free. He's gonna feel like he's running in the wind. Nothing can stop him. But in reality, he can only go 5 feet away from you. He's not actually free. He's not able just to go anywhere that he wants to. That's the mindset that those certain individuals have. And this is Lamentations chapter 5, verse 7. It says, I'm going to read it out of the NIV. It says, our ancestors sinned and are no more, and we bear their punishment. And so, even though we may be upright, it's a curse that goes throughout our whole nation. And so, even those that feel like they're highly esteemed in the society, the ultimate thing is spiritual disconnection, even though that they may actually be established in the society, because I don't want to say cooning, but they are doing something that's possibly not what the Most High wants them to do. Ultimately, they get connected with the society and disconnected from the Most High.
Con, I like what you had said. My bad, Eric. But like he had said about the dogs and stuff, because like if you keep a dog locked up in a cage or whatnot, when you doing something to the dog and whatnot, what did the dog run back to? It run back into his cage. It run back to where he feel like he's safe at, back down to the underground. Because shoot, that's just what he been taught.
Let us go back to Egypt.
Con.
Con.
Go
And
ahead,
then
man.
another thing, even with those people that consider themselves not being under the curses, most likely they've like Devon said, they've adopted this lifestyle of where they are currently, and it's pretty much like they become that heathen. They become of that nation that they're a part of, which in this instance would be they would becoming an American. They've inherited the American way, or they've become like the Caucasian or the Edomite, so they feel like they're not under the curses. You got some high profile Negroes who consider themselves not like the hood Negro or the people that live in the inner cities. So it's like they become the heathen. They've adopted the customs the same way as in the Bible. When you got Israelites stand in a foreign land and they call them an Egyptian because they have an Egyptian way, or a Greek because they have Greek ways.
Con, I was when you was talking about the, like if you keep a dog locked up in a cage or whatnot, when you doing something to the dog and whatnot, what did the dog run back to? It run back into his cage. It run back to where he feel like he's safe at, back down to the underground, because shoot, that's just what he been taught.
Let us go back to Egypt.
Con,
Con.
go
And
ahead,
then
man.
another thing, even with those people that consider themselves not being under the curses, most likely they've like Devon said, they've adopted this lifestyle of where they are currently, and it's pretty much like they become that heathen. They become of that nation that they're a part of, which in this instance would be they would becoming an American. They've inherited the American way, or they've become like the Caucasian or the Edomite, so they feel like they're not under the curses. You got some high profile Negroes who consider themselves not like the hood Negro or the people that live in the inner cities. So it's like they become the heathen. They've adopted the customs the same way as in the Bible. When you got Israelites stand in a foreign land and they call them an Egyptian because they have an Egyptian way, or a Greek because they have Greek ways.
Con, I was when you was talking about the heathens on why the people came to where they at now, it was because I got a precept, Psalms chapter 106. I'm gonna start at verse 35 and I'm work my way down. But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. Because when we got scattered amongst all the other people and all the other nations, we start celebrating Christmas, we start celebrating um Thanksgiving, 4th of July, we start celebrating all this other stuff, to where we lost the connection with our God. And if I keep reading, they I'm gonna go down to 40. In Psalms 106 and verse 40. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, and so much that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. So, regardless what anybody say, man, we still gonna be oppressed. We still gonna be going through what we going to until the Most High bring Christ back.
Bring it out.
Yeah, con. And I got a precept to pick back off of the point that Pat brought out. Let's go to Psalms chapter 55 and verse 3. Let's start at verse 2. Attend unto me and hear me. I mourn in my complaint and make a noise because of the voice of the enemy and because of the oppression of the wicked. For they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me. So we just know that it's just in these other nations that they just hate our people. We the chosen. That's why we going through this and mother nations, but of course the curses. But many people know that we the chosen. That gotta be a jealousy, like a jealousy factor in their spirit. Just knows like, damn, man, the people we've been pressing is God chosen people, not knowing we finna serve them.
Uh, and
That, and that gotta be a crazy feeling.
I got to kind of piggyback on that. On that. I am back on. so, this is First Maccabees.
I kind of got I kind of got a point I want to bring out too. But go ahead, brother Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's First Maccabees. Verse 11, it says, and in those days went out there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And so that kind of goes with that original point of, these certain individuals not even feeling like they're in captivity because they feel like if they don't work with the heathens, then they'll be in captivity.
Like I'm gonna let you go, Yaquab, but just real quick, that's a beautiful point you just made, because in the midst of this conversation, this person said, "Man, man, I don't want to be in my land right now." No, he didn't say right now. He said, "I don't want to be in my land." Like what's going down over there, and and obviously the understanding was given that hey, you wouldn't be back in the land under the uh, the, the small hats, make sure I speak correctly. But, you would be, under, our autonomy and our government, like, that's what you should,
But
that's
before you
like,
talk, I want to wrap up the rest of that passage because there's some more meat on the bone. And so this is verse 12. I'm going to read 11, 12, and 13. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked man who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so for herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen.
calm, beautiful. Hey, brother Yaquab, you asked him to bring out, you can bring it out, King. Slop.
Shalom, chop.
Shalom, chop.
Shalom.
Shalom, Yasharala.
Shalom.
Hold on, Um, I kind of just piggyback off the what the brother was saying.
Lamb back.
It's like these curses are so like so heavy on us that we don't even believe that we're on the like some of our people don't even believe they're under the curses. That's how heavy the curses is on us, right? Because it's just like regardless of whatever particular situation, even if you're probably not in poverty, but the point is this particular curse is upon us as well. I'm going to read in Deuteronomy 28, right? In Deuteronomy 28, verse 43, it says, "The stranger that is with thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail." So going back onto what the brother was bringing out, like you might see some of our people, being put in a particular position, right? And it's just like you're still under the curses because you still have to go to your enemy for everything, right? To build a name for yourself, right? And things like that, you have to go to your enemy, right? So, I mean, that's just one of the curses that just on our people, and it's just they don't even notice that, right? They're so caught up. And I think not too long ago, I think it was I think a brother, I think it was Deacon Sakari. I think he had like a lot.
Hey, you in a matrix,
How a Christian would rather be a heathen, right, a Gentile, than to be an Israelite. And I'm just like, this is the mindset of our people, right? So I mean, I just wanted to bring that up, but that's all. Salaki.
And then it's something to just kind of land back on there. He said that some of the people don't even believe that they under the curses, and it's because of the philosophy of Babylon. Babylon is said to have that same exact philosophy. This is Revelation chapter 18, verse 7. It says, how much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she say in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And so those ways and the Babylonian ways have been adopted by people to where they feel that exact same way as the rest of the people in Babylon.
Con.
So anybody got anything else they want to bring up?
Hey, I did want to get a space to brother Chop if he had anything, if he wanted to speak to the title of the room or anything like that.
Not really though. I mean, if you ask me, that's a pretty obvious answer to that. You know, just look around.
Open your eyes. That's all you got to do.
Con.
Con.
Well, I guess that's gonna close it out. Can wrap up the lesson. If Brother Hurt didn't have nothing else he wanted to bring out, or any other brother had any precepts.
No, that's all if anybody else got anything, if not, we can close it out.
All right, hold on, Shalak. I meant lamb back, not piggyback. Shalak you for that.
Hey, no problem.
Any of the sisters want to say anything?
Yeah, I just invited the sisters up, so if they, you can accept the invitation if you want to say anything.
Shalom, fam.
Shalom.
Um, no, so last night I was the TV was on, and there was this discussion about how the black, black and brown men are bringing down the black woman, and of course it was a black woman. She probably had a white dude, um, advocating for that, and I was just like, you are what's wrong with our people. You were part of the problem, like, because we're already oppressed as it is. Black men in general are already oppressed as it is, and yet here you are adding to it. And it just saddened me. I couldn't even like sit through it. I got so upset. But I just want to say that was a really good it was a really good topic. It was a really good session, and I'm glad I was able to be here for it.
The water.
All praises to water.
Con.
Con, definitely all praises. All praise to the Most High. Um, if nobody else has anything they want to add, if we're gonna wrap it up, definitely bake the water to everybody that joined. Um, you know, the water to the brother Hurt, the brother Ben. They brought out some mighty points as well as everyone else that spoke. Um, and if there'll be no more, I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. I want to say Shalom, and also make sure to share the club, invite your family members, your friends, even your Christian friends to join the club. And with that, I'll say Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Oh,
Shalom, fam.
Shalom.
Hey,
Shalom.
Salakia. I want to add on to that ending too, especially your Christian friends.
Ka,
Shalom.
Hey, this the whole clock
Shalom.
in, but don't clock out. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, sister.
Sister, you wanted to speak to the point?
Oh, I'm gonna listen for a bit because it would be foolish for me to, delve into a conversation that I'm just joining. So I need to know exactly well, is it what the topic is? People shot to death by U.S. police by race 2022?
We just got through with the lesson. You can go back and listen to the replay once we end the room, or if you want to say anything about it, with your experience, seeing what you've seen, or the things you witnessed.
Kind. Well, basically, what I've witnessed is um, predominantly what they have shown across the media. So I know that factually that is going on, but I'm trying to decipher how much of it is their, propaganda and what they're pushing, um, than opposed to, because we know this been going on forever. So I mean, right now in this you know, age 2022, they just, incidentally there's cameras to show, the things that they've been hiding. But I'm questioning also too the propaganda of it, how they're pushing it, to the forefront through the medias and things of that nature. And I don't know if there's a sinister reasoning in behind that. So everything they do, basically, I'm saying is that it has to be questioned.
Oh, definitely, sister. I understand completely what you're saying. And so, like what you said is now we are, it was a time where we wasn't able to catch it on camera. You get what I'm saying? And so now that we have the opportunity to where we catching it on camera, it's getting thrown in your face more than what it would have if you just heard the story. When you heard the story, somebody could just say that's a lie, but whenever you're able to see it for yourself, you're able to see that the person's running. You're able to see that their back is turned. You're able to see them get shot 14 times. There's no misunderstanding about that. And like the brother he was bringing up earlier, that when it comes collectively as us, as black and brown people, we're a minority here, but we still get killed 2 times more. That's a fact. That's statistics. And it's just a simple fact that we just can't ignore. We can't act like it's not a profound issue. Is yes, we do have crime in our own neighborhood, but on top of that, we're getting killed by other people 2 times more than anybody else.
Oh, I concur with you wholeheartedly. I don't have no disagreement with that whatsoever. My point being is just basically we know for a fact history is, what I'm saying, is irrefutable in regards to how so-called black and brown people have been treated in this country and across the globe. So absolutely. Um, my thing is, how many tricks are we gonna allow? How many more tricks will we allow as a people? And what I mean by that, in anything that they put before us as far as implementing something that they say is good for us, there's always a other side of it. It's a sinister side. So my question is just how many more tricks are we going to allow before we say enough is enough? We don't want no part of your system. We don't want no part of anything that you're presenting to us. Voting, all that bullshit. Forgive the expression, but all of that. That means that we have to do away with everything. Everything must go in regards to us as being a people and in regards to us surviving as a people. Meaning with their policing, every system that they have put into existence was for the detriment of us. So everything they do is going to be for the detriment of us. So if we understand that concept, not that you all don't, I'm just saying collectively as a people, if we don't understand that concept, or if we do understand that concept, no trick can be pulled on us. We have to understand that we must separate. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Total separation from a people that have been trying to kill you from our inception, going
Definitely.
back biblical time
All right.
till
I
today.
have I have a question. I'm pretty sure you're probably familiar with the Maccabean revolt, right?
Similar, somewhat.
Oh, Maccabean revolt is similar to what you're talking about. It's where our people collectively, it was a large quantity of people that decided that they wanted to rebel and that they didn't want to do what the government told them to do. And also, it was this other group. And I'm gonna read this passage real quick. This is First Maccabees um chapter 1 verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased him well. Then certain of the people were forward wherein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. And so we see in the Maccabean revolt, which is one of the biggest revolts that happened in our history, where we actually rebelled against the entire government. We see that it was wicked men that persuaded many. Said, "Hey, we need to just work with the heathen and be just like them." They even went to the king, which would be the equivalent of going to the president of saying, "Hey, can we just follow y'all and do what?" Because ever since we just mess with our people, we've been in sorrow. And so, unfortunately, that right there is a wonderful dream. It's a wonderful dream to just imagine if we all came together and we all were on this one accord. But unfortunately, the Bible doesn't predict that. It says that we're going to have somebody save us from not just our enemies, but from ourselves, because it's wicked people from among us. And so, as long as those wicked people are among us, there's no way that the righteous are going to be able to stand up, because the wicked are going to be in all the righteous ear.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that exactly what you're saying in regards to that, the dynamic of the situation. It is about what is righteous and what is not. And sometimes our own people, for the most part, it is replete in the Bible of betrayal by, our own people. And so if we look at it and study the history of that, just like you said, well, we're not all supposed to, we're not going to all come together like that. No, it's not going to happen like that. It's some people going to be this way and then some people going to be the other way. Some people going to stand up for what is right and some people going to unfortunately go down that other path. You know what I'm saying? I understand that concept totally. But for
Uh,
the ones that, do want to separate out of this, and don't want no part of this world as far as how it's ran, as far as the oppression of it, then those are the ones that are going to have to stand up. Those are the ones that are going to have to stand up and rebel against it, because again, as the Bible speaks, in order for the land to be cleansed, those who shed the blood must be shed. And so ultimately it looks like that's where it's going.
big
uh,
time.
I want to read this precept to you. It's Ezekiel chapter 20, and this is verse 37. It says, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me, and I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. And so that has to take place. It has to be that the rebels and the transgressors are purged from among our people. Because, like I was saying before, if not, all that's going to happen is the exact same thing in Maccabees. We're going to raise up, and it's going to be coons that raise up with us, and they're going to decide, hey, I don't want to fight against them. I want to be with them. And they're going to go and make treaties, and then we're going to get backdoored. That's that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get backdoored because we're going to be putting our trust in nationhood, family, and the trust is not going to be there for those that don't have the spirit.
Absolutely. It's all about the spirit. Absolutely. And unfortunately, it could be, you know, those of your own household, unfortunately. Um
You can finish up, sister. I was just agreeing with
uh,
you.
yeah, exactly. And so it's just whew, it's hard. But the race is not won by the one, the swift, but the one that endures. And so you got to be in it to win it. And so you have to do your diligence in regards to, you know what I'm saying, as far as your life is concerned. But to come up with a total solution, I don't think there's no solution without following what the creator says. I don't think there's no other solution. Because if you look at everything that has happened and everything that's continuing to happen, you know, nothing has worked. Nothing's worked.
And you got to think about it in a realistic view. There's been plenty of wise men, prophets, knowledgeable people that their spirit is somewhere that I want my spirit to be, and they couldn't think of nothing. They got our people out of this. And so if they wasn't able to do it, clearly it's outlined in the scriptures exactly how it's going to happen, because all of those people through the process, the rebellious that tried to rebel against the authorities and the governments that the Most High set over us, we see what happened. He put us in such a position to where only they could enslave us because he let them, and only we can be free because of him. It's no way that we were enslaved just off of the power of the Europeans. And so it was some entity that gave them the power, that was able to put the fear into those slaves, that even though that they were outnumbered 100 to 2, that they didn't fight back. That was nothing but the Most High. And so if the Most High had that power in order to instill us to where we were subjugated by these people and taken into captivity, he has to be the one to free us from it too.
Absolutely. And I don't know if it would be, I don't know, mm, not logically to think now that everything that Israel was, because Israel's was something else. They hard headed, stiff necked. Oh my God, they were something else. Everything that Israel was and is, would it be far fetched to think that the Most High made, manifested a people that was the wicked form of Israel? And incidentally, that's how um, the white man came into play. It's just Israel manifestation of Israel's wickedness in a form.
Yeah, I got a precept. And this right here is going to be Proverbs chapter 16, verse 4. The Lord has made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil.
So
Con.
so then again, I mean, if you look at it, it's always a black and white dynamic. Why is that? Because they're the opposite of who we are. So if they were twins in the womb and one spirit was hated before it was born and one was loved, then could it not be they were opposites? And what was in Jacob that was rebellious came into Esau in a human form. All the wickedness that Israel had done, he put a no people, which we know they are recessive. There's no way they could have, ruled over us with all of the magnificent gifts that, so-called black people have, and the talents and the strength. We dominate everything. How can a people like this take us unless it was a divine intervention? playing its role in this. Because there's no way we could have been under this type of submission without a divine intervention because we dominate everything. So I'm just thinking that perhaps maybe those particular peoples was, the manifestation, the evil form of Israel put in a, manifested in a form. So all of the wickedness that we had, subjected ourselves to, murder, rape, incest. I mean, Israel was getting down, serving other gods, all kinds of things. And so I guess, the Most High, and I put it into a form and had it rule over us. So the only way that we can get out of it is to revert back to the law and the ways that was given our fathers and to repent from the things that we have done and is doing in order for this to rectify itself. I
God.
land.
I got a scripture real quick. It's Job chapter 30, verse 1. It says, But now that are younger than now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would not have disdained to set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hand profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were severity, fleeing in the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up meadows by the bushes and Jupiter roots for their meats. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. And so this right here is like what you were saying. These people right here, they're just wildebeest, and they simply, they were just raised up for the sole purpose in order to oppress us, and so the Lord could show his power to all the nations when he destroyed them. And so it's just a patient game right now. We're just waiting for everything, but right now we seeing the finish line. We're seeing things that our forefathers wish that they were able to see. And so I would just say, sister, just be patient, and then find you a body. I don't know if you're a part of one, of people that you can constantly congregate with. I don't know if you have a Facebook, but most of the people up in this page right now, we have a Facebook group where we communicate on a daily basis. And if you have a Facebook, you can shoot it in the back chat, and then we can add you up on there, sister. So that way, topics like this, it'll be, you know, uh water and bread for the daily use and not cake for special occasions. You can constantly have just that flow of brothers and sisters that you can congregate with, and we can discuss these type of topics on a daily basis.
Kind, absolutely.
Yeah, so mine is being confounded. And so you could just hit me up in the back chat, and then my name on Facebook will be Devon. And so I'll shoot you a message whenever we get off the clubhouse, and then I'll add you to that group.
Kind.
Con, all praises. All praises. Just a real quick reminder, for everybody that hasn't already, um, please make sure to click on the greenhouse at the top, join and become a member. We do a few rooms a week, so if you're a member, you'll get the notifications, for when we, start rooms. We discuss, topics like this, of course, with Bible based. So we discuss the Bible a ton. But like I said, please, click on the greenhouse, become a member, and invite your friends and family as well. Comment,
Um,
comment. Anybody else got anything? Oh, you can go ahead, Slot.
nah, I was just saying shalom. That was all.
Shalom.
Shalom and Kwam Yasharala to everybody in the panel. Lord willingly, everybody be safe and don't bug out and decide to do something crazy to Esau after we get off of this.
Hey, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
The angels of the Lord encamped around me. It had to be, I know it had to be. The angels of the Lord encamped around me. It had to be, I know it had Ain't no free will, it's all predestinated. From every death to every child brought forth through copulation. For the spouse that you choose to your current occupation, you either receive mercy or Yahweh's indignation. I can recollect on times that I could have been dead, caught lacking, no strap. I had